Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. The fun part is about to begin. And I know we had a blasty blast going back to November. XRP finally breaking out after close to 7 years, setting on its course to ultimately hit a new all-time high, which did happen January 16th of this year. You'll love to see it. And yeah, as fun as that was, and it was exciting, it was a lot of fun, that's going to pale in comparison to what's about to happen, if history is to rhyme with itself. And what I am seeing day after day is more and more analysts come to the conclusion that what is most probable is that we are like right on the doorstep of hitting that point. Like we are right there, just about to knock on that door, a little tap, 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 and then we rip to the upside. Specifically for XRP, yes, absolutely. Also for the broader crypto market. And it is true, like that last final push at the end of market cycles, that is where the most mayhem ensues. Like that's where the most fun part is. That's where you really have an opportunity for life-changing wealth. Now, it's going to be a very short time period. It always is. But it's going to be very exciting, very fun. And that is where you have the vast majority of your opportunity. So let me share with you what a bunch of different chart analysts have to say, but you're going to be feeling optimistic. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it is 3:29 a.m. Central Time. It's now Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. XRP is at $2.31. Bitcoin at 109,583 bucks. So mostly sideways over the last 24 hours or so. Not going to be staying here for long though. And it's just, I'm telling you, like I follow analysts that I genuinely believe are reputable and have a pretty decent track record. Most of them I'd say pretty damn good track record. But none of them are slouches, I'd say. And I just keep seeing out of this group of analysts that I'm following, like just the idea of us taking off sooner than later, even though they'll squabble a little bit over what specifically that time frame is most likely to look at, they all agree that's what's about to happen. I do see that. So I don't really have a whole lot of doubt here. And so there's that, but then on top of that, there's historic norms. If we don't go sooner than later, like this would be different. That would mean that this time is different, and those are famous last words, so I doubt that this time is different. I think we're just going to rip. Here's a post from chart analyst Khalil. He shared this with his 704,000 followers on X, and he simply wrote, "The fun stages of the bull market are finally about to start. Believe it or not, everything to this point has just been a warm-up leading up to what happens next. It'll feel like easy mode early on. Take advantage of being early and lock in now." Okay, that is a narrative that I buy into 100% because that's how it's always been. And if you look at how things are lining up, there's no shortage of chart analysts saying, guys, this looks like what we've seen before. So yes, everything lines up. I absolutely buy that narrative. I think that's accurate. I think it's going to happen. And you do get to this point where it's impossible to invest in something that doesn't make you like a crazy amount of money in a short period of time. Now, again, that's very short-lived, and then the market, will peak and it will reverse and have a massive crash. That happens every time also. But there will be a brief period in time where it's like you couldn't lose money even if you tried. That's what happened in 2017. Like literally everything was going up. It's like throw a dart at a board, you hit something. Like that. Like, that's it. Like, it was literally like that. And everybody feels like a genius in the moment, but spoiler alert, nobody actually is a genius just because of that. That's not what that actually means, but people will be feeling like that. Oh, look at these wise investment decisions. But again, it's going to be short-lived, so we'll be, need to have some serious conversations about top indicators when we get to that really fun part. But man, it is close. Here's another post from chart analyst Khalil. He says, Ethereum is once again outperforming. God candle of $4,000 is loading. And so, look, over the last few months, as the price of Ether languished, got down to about $1,400 or so. And now it's actually, what is it right now? 20, so closer to 2,800 now. It's just shy of that now. But so it went from 1,400 to basically double. It basically doubled in that time frame. And as we were there, I was laughing about it. I was like, guys, this isn't the end. I know everybody's screaming it's the end because the price goes down, but the price going down, that metric in and of itself is not an indicator of the long-term viability of an asset. Rather, price and value at times get substantially misaligned. There's nothing from a fundamental perspective that happened that made me think that Ethereum was no longer viable as far as the market is concerned. And I'm not saying that it is or isn't long-term viable. I'm just saying the market's been very happy with it for this long, about a decade. Nothing happened that would have changed that. And that tells me that when the price goes lower, it's not because of a fundamental reason. So if it's not because of a fundamental reason, then markets find bottoms and it rebounds. And now the price of Ethereum is doubled, which is what I've been saying the whole time. It's the same thing I was saying about XRP throughout 2024. But even when Ethereum gets back up to $4,000, did you know, if XRP just matches that in terms of market cap, so if XRP is the market cap of Ethereum when Ethereum is $4,000 again, which is going to happen, if XRP matches that, that would make XRP, just that level, XRP would be worth $8 each. Just that. That's all that would take. Do you see how quickly we can get into these wild numbers? And again, that's not even a new all-time high for Ethereum. I'm just saying if XRP matches Ethereum's market cap, which there's historic precedent to believe, there's historic precedent for this. It happened in 2017 and early 2018, that cycle. XRP took the number 2 spot. There's no reason it can't happen again. So we'll find out if it does happen. But yes, that's not wild at all. It's just exciting because once you start to realize you can get to that number just with that little effort. Yes, the answer is yes, that is correct. Here's a post from chart analyst Crypto Wizard. Ethereum price chart on the top, Bitcoin price chart on the bottom. And that Bitcoin price chart on the bottom, I'll note that that's from last cycle. You can see that it's 2018 through 2021, but the relevant portion is what happened in 2020, basically going into 2021. And then anyway, the chart up top though for Ethereum, that's where we are now. But he's just noting that it looks similar to how Bitcoin looked back then. So he wrote, lived this before. When they were calling for the end, I was warning of the future. Ethereum continues to directly mimic the 2018 through 2020 Bitcoin bull cycle. The deviation has been confirmed. Bitcoin rallied to $64,000. How high will Ethereum go? And so you can see he's citing that Bitcoin here in March, that was a deviation. And that was during the COVID. So how low did Bitcoin get? Was it like $3,000 to $4,000, somewhere around there? And here you can see structurally, he's just pointing out it looks like Ethereum's structurally doing the same thing. There was a deviation that was completed. Again, like I told you, it got down to about $1,400. It's doubled since then. And he's saying it's not done. And he's got this arrow pointing up. Not that it would peak here, but he's got this arrow pointing up to about $5,000. If XRP matches Ethereum's market cap at $5,000, then each XRP would be about $10. So this is not a big ask, is what I'm saying. And that's why the analysts who are calling for like $20 to $30 XRP, I don't know if they're right. I always admit that. But I have sympathy for why they're arguing this. It's certainly possible. So if enough money flows into the crypto space, yeah, I could imagine it possibly happening. I've never made a price prediction in my entire life because I just admit I don't know. It's just, if I were a chart, that'd be different. Maybe I could get in and wade into that water. It's just not my shtick. But I do have ideas about what is reasonable to suppose might happen, and that's as far as I go. And I'm telling you, like in my mind, it's very reasonable to suppose that you could get up that high, and we'll find out. Here's a post from chart analyst Galaxy. He shared this with his 111,000 followers. He's making the same argument that Crypto Wizard just made about Ethereum and Bitcoin. Same thing. Look at this. He says Ethereum looks like Bitcoin before the bull run from $10,000 to $60,000. That's the same freaking argument I just showed you from Crypto Wizard right here. And so if you're talking about that kind of multiplier, is Ethereum really going to stop at $5,000 or $10,000? I don't know, but I'm just saying, this is why I'm sympathetic to the people that say Ethereum goes way higher than 10,000. They could be correct. That's kind of exciting because, again, I will not be surprised if XRP comes gunning for that number 2 spot when the market gets really hot. And if Ethereum's that high, don't be surprised if XRP at least gets close, if not taking out Ethereum for some period of time in terms of market cap. Here's a post from chart analyst Flash. Shared this with his 81,000 followers on X. XRP price chart here. He simply said, prepared for next leg. And you can see in the short term, And he's talking about XRP getting to $5. Not that it would peak here, but getting on its way to $5, starting to move in June this month, and hitting $5 by some point. It looks like maybe early to mid July. Just eyeballing it anyway. How many analysts have I been highlighting recently, sharing that type of thought, expectations that XRP is probably actually going to run this cycle? It's been a lot of analysts, right? And mind you, all these analysts, these are not fly-by-night analysts. I'm just telling you, like these are analysts, pretty much all of them. I've been following for long enough to kind of get a feel for their hit rate. And almost all of the ones that I follow that are charting XRP, they actively called for XRP to break out, and they articulated why, and they were correct. It broke out in 2024, just like they were expecting. I'm just saying, they're all saying, increasingly, we're getting to the point where so many of them are saying it's going to happen this summer. And even if that's wrong, which is possible, they all are saying XRP is going to go and have a parabolic rally to the upside, getting somewhere in the neighborhood of double digits at a minimum. All of them are saying that. Out of the group that I follow, literally all of them. And I have trouble finding analysts who put out bear arguments. I'm happy to highlight them when I come across them because they're so rare. But just people aren't charting negative stuff for XRP because it doesn't make sense. Even the FUDsters out there, they have shut their stupid little face holes because they keep getting egg on their face, and I think they finally figured out going against XRP, not a big picture plan for success. Like that, it's not going to do you well. It's going to make you look stupid. Because XRP does end up rallying. Here's a post from chart analyst Steph is Crypto. XRP says XRP is about to go parabolic. So he absolutely buys into this idea that very soon we're talking about starting to rocket in June and get up. It's actually close to that $5 to $6 range by maybe the early part of July, based on the way he charted this year. He thinks it's happening that soon, and lots of analysts do. So we'll see if the ones that think it's going to happen that quickly are correct. I'm just seeing increasingly there are more and more analysts voicing that they think there's a reasonable chance that it will be happening this summer. So take it for what it's worth. But if Bitcoin continues to follow global M2, the liquidity, that time frame makes sense. And the whole asset class moves in tandem. So I can buy the argument that it's plausible. It ain't crazy at all. I'm telling you, the fourth year of each market cycle, you actually do see Bitcoin run in the summer. The other years, it does not. You have a sideways, boring summer of the other years. The fourth year in the bull run, it has run. Like each of the last two cycles, I've been highlighting this a lot recently. So ain't crazy to think we're going to be seeing something sooner than later. Here's a post from chart analyst Peppa at Moonchilla, and this is from May 16th. And by the way, so to his credit, and he actually has this reposted here. I'll just mention this first, actually. On November 12th, before XRP really started going, he saw what was about to happen. He said, "Holy S, bears are effed. XRP biweekly breaking out of a 2,500-day consolidation pattern just like 2017. So that was November 12th of last year, and he was correct. He was absolutely correct. And so he reposted that on May 16th, and he wrote, XRP printing a massive bullish flag. Potential target $15 plus. After a massive 2,500 days breakout, in the quoted tweet, XRP is consolidating for 165 days now. Stunning how those 44-day candles are printed, isn't it? Get ready for another massive breakout." So there's yet another analyst that believe it's going to happen sooner than later. And so, again, and that was, a few weeks ago. But he wasn't promising it was literally that day or the next day or the next week. He's just saying that he can see this in the charts. Like this is roughly the moment where it's going to go. Just like in 2024, we didn't know for sure when XRP was going to pop, but we knew that everything in the charts was screaming, this is the moment in time where to go. And from a historical perspective with how beaten down XRP price was, there's any number of things you could look at to say this is that moment in time. We don't know if it's this month, next quarter, but this is that type of moment in time where it's about to go. That's effectively the type of argument that he's clearly making right here. And so he just reposted that because he's still got that confidence. And he posted this on Tuesday. He reposted that and he said, "You don't own enough XRP, TikTok." Maybe some people feel that way. I do own enough XRP. I know most people won't say that. I do. I probably bought more than would have, been considered reasonable by most humans, but I'm glad I did. I have no regrets for that, obviously. And it comprises, I think, even today, probably about half of my crypto portfolio because it's taken off. So love to see that. But if I were to buy anything, I would just diversify. I really would. I have enough XRP. I just do. Like I have no regrets about the purchasing of XRP. But I get the cut of his jib. He's just saying like you're gonna wish you had more because it's gonna rocket. I get it. Here's a post from Blockchain Backer Tuesday morning. He was sharing his most recent video. Bitcoin hits $110,000. Altcoins and Ethereum green. Bitcoin dominant stumbles. XRP and altcoins await clear breakout. And so he still firmly believes, yes, XRP is going to be getting upwards of that double-digit price range, a little over $10. He thinks it could peak. He stated that he thinks Bitcoin's likely to peak probably around $135,000. He could be correct. We'll see. But he does believe there's going to be that final parabolic move. And at this point, and just listening to him, it seems like he acknowledges still like we could see that pullback for Bitcoin into the mid 90,000s, in which case, yeah, XRP could get closer to $2. The way he's talking now, it seems to me like he's much more optimistic. Perhaps this is the way I'm trying to read him. I think this is right. Anyway, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it seems like he's maybe leaning more so towards XRP just kind of consolidating further, maybe a little bit more sideways, not much longer, and then finally rocketing to the upside without another pullback. And this could be enough. Like what we've already seen as far as the pullback, that could be enough. Here's a post from Chart Analyst Crypto Insight UK. He says, XRP fighting to hold above minor resistance / flip it as support right now. Looking for closes above $2.40 for the first stages of a trend reversal. Then realistically, $2.60 plus to show a key change in direction. Again, watching this liquidity. Liquidity can be left behind, and there is always some liquidity left, people who win their positions. However, as I keep saying, with it being this deep, I am cautious. Okay, and so he's still urging at least a bit of caution that you could see XRP go down closer to that $2 level, and he's made it publicly known that if that happens, he's going to buy a ton of XRP because he still firmly believes we're going to be rocketing to double-digit price action, and he is with Credible Crypto and thinking that it's likely XRP peaks in price this cycle somewhere between $20 to $30. So he still has that optimism. So don't think he's a bear just because he's talking about concerns for XRP potentially moving to the downside. Here's a post from chart analyst X-Force Global. He shared this on Tuesday, XRP USD chart. He says, XRP $3 to $4 is inevitable in the next few months until proven otherwise. There is nothing bearish about the shorter, medium, and most importantly, macro time frame. And so he thinks even over the shorter period here, which meaning this summer, we could see XRP get up there, which means that it's in price discovery. And he's not saying that it would peak there. He's just saying as far as it getting going, yes. So again, that's another analyst saying we could be seeing some exciting price action sooner than later. And they're all going to vary a little bit in what they believe, and that's fine. You'd expect that. But part of the message is very similar from analyst to analyst, isn't it? And so it's not, I still don't think we're at the point where it's even a majority of the analysts that I follow calling for that for XRP this summer, but it's a lot of them. It's enough that it's jumping out at me. Now, if it gets to the point where the vast majority are screaming that, I'll just note, out of the analysts that I follow, when they're all saying almost exactly the same thing, that thing almost always happens. So if I do see that, I'm going to have very strong conviction about that. I'm going to feel very strongly that they're probably right. Right now, toss a coin. But there is historic precedent for something to happen this summer. There absolutely is, like unquestionably. So maybe we should be leaning more in that direction, actually. Here's a post from chart analyst E. Greg Crypto. XRP market cap to $1.5 trillion. Only few, yes, only few, grasping the market cap isn't just the money injected into XRP. It's a mere representation of XRP's value at a certain price point. Yes, and so to be clear, it's not at all the money injected into XRP. That's not what market cap is. The money injected into XRP, that's known as cash inflows. That's a separate metric. The amount of money in, that's called cash inflows. Market cap is merely a calculation of the circulating supply of any given cryptocurrency multiplied by the current market rate. So that's what all of it is worth, all of it in circulation anyway. That's considered market cap in the world of crypto. But as E. Greg Crypto points out here, and I'll read it in a second, it doesn't, and I've said this many times, like it doesn't take that much money flowing in to get this crazy multiplier effect. because the price gets bid upward. It just does. So it's impossible to know for sure what that multiplier effect is, but it's big. It's absolutely big. And so here, eGreg Crypto wrote, many XRP community gurus have explained that for every $1 injected, the market cap can multiply by 15 to 30 times during certain stages. Okay, and so I'll pause to stay here. I don't know what a reasonable multiplier effect would. Maybe it is there for the most exciting hot periods in time. I legitimately don't know, but I do know that the concept he's citing here absolutely is correct. So whether it would normally be a little bit lower than that or right there or a little bit higher than that, can't say, but it's very obvious that the market cap blows up relative to the cash inflows. Unquestionably it does. And that's why I keep saying it doesn't take much money flowing in. And this is why you can get into the trillions. Like the people that say XRP's market cap, they've been saying it for like the last decade, can never be worth $1 trillion or multiple $1 trillion. Like you have a fundamental misunderstanding of cash inflows versus market cap. That's what the problem is. And I spotted that very early on in crypto, like in 2017 or early 2018, I figured that out. And I was like, you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. I was like, I'm brand new to crypto, and I was back then. And like I figured that out. How do you guys not know that? You've been here longer than me, you know? But it's just so obvious. And so eGreg Crypto is absolutely correct here. And that's why there's this exciting opportunity. You can get crazy multiplier effects in crypto. And it's a global phenomenon, you know? That's part of why this happens too. It's 24/7, 365 trading, and this is all on a global scale, and they're finite assets. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, then he says the macro formation is a W pattern, specifically pattern number 10. Actually, let me make this chart full screen while I'm reading this. We've been holding above previous all-time high in Fib 1 since December 2024, a clear sign of bullish accumulation. Projected moves based on different approaches. W formation measured move, non-logarithmic, Fib 1.618, which is a $270 billion market cap, suggests XRP could reach around $4.50, given the circulating supply of 58.81 billion XRP. Logarithmic move. The projected market cap around $1.5 trillion implies XRP could be around $25. From 2017, moving from Fib 1 to Fib 1.618, gains were about 242%. Applying that to current market cap, XRP could hit around 450 billion market cap, definitely a milestone, but not the end of the run. This gives me conviction. Potential XRP price around $7.60 based on this approach. At Fib 1.618 based on 2018 high and 2020 lows, the market cap could reach 978 billion. It's almost $1 trillion, folks. With XRP price around $17. Yes, please. I'll take that. I'll take two of those, actually. Yes, please. XRP's market cap is aligning with a bullish pennant on both the XRP USD and XRP BTC charts. Can you see the pattern? The projected market cap? Around $1.2 trillion in XRP possibly surging to $20. It says, so based on this approach, that put XRP price around $7.60. So, that's the type of stuff that can happen in crypto, folks. That's why we're here. He is absolutely correct about the concept. This is a real thing here. There's not much money in XRP right now, and it just doesn't take much money flowing in to get XRP to double, triple, quadruple, so on and so forth. And so please keep in mind that XRP, even in 2018 when it hit its peak of $3.35, that was with way less than 1% of humans having ever bought XRP. And now there's a lot more humans holding XRP. We're still way under 1% of humans holding XRP, and we've already hit the price that we've hit. A new all-time high of $3.40 this year, but we are not done. We are not done if history is to rhyme with itself. Which is why I wake up every day excited for this. I know one day I'm just going to wake up, look at my phone, I'm going to check the price, and it's just going to be running. And I'll just know, yep, okay, well, this is the day it goes then. And I've lived through a number of those days before, and they're fun. And that is what's in front of us, folks. The fun part is about to begin. I do not doubt that. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say are right. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.